This is your daily reminder. God has not run out of mercy, not for you, not today. Welcome to the New Mercies Podcast. Welcome back, Monday, February the 23rd, and today's reading is in Haggai 1 again. I know last week we read Haggai 1 a couple of times, and I know that Sunday we went through Haggai 1 in the pulpit on Sunday morning with our church family. And so once again, I want to read Haggai 1. On the podcast, I know I will take just a couple of verses and just kind of pull something out. As I've said before, and maybe you're new to all this, maybe you're kind of new to this podcasting thing. If you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see I put some scripture up on the screen for you. But if you're listening, maybe you're wondering why we do this way. But here's what happens. So this is all overflow from the messages and the study time that God has given to me. And I hope and pray as you go through this, as a church family, we've been going through this reading plan and these journals, and the goal is always that you would search the scriptures and that you would allow the Lord to speak to you. That's the goal. Don't just take what I say and run with it and say, oh, this is what the Lord's telling me today. I'm revealing to you, I'm showing to you some of the things the Lord is speaking to me. They don't all fit in a sermon on Sunday, right? I wish I could pack everything into a 35, 40-minute message, but there's just so much in the scripture that's so rich. I don't ever want you to think I've discovered it all. I've figured it all out. So this is all Haggai 1 has to say. There's more. I hope you're reading it today with fresh eyes. You're listening today with fresh ears. I just want to read a couple of verses to you in Haggai 1 towards the end of the chapter. So I want to read verses 12 and following. We'll probably make it all the way to verse 14 is my guess, those three verses. We'll see what happens. So here we go, Haggai 1, beginning at verse 12. Then Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of the Lord their God and the words of Haggai the prophet, as the Lord their God had sent him. And the people feared the Lord. Then Haggai, the messenger of the Lord, spoke to the people with the Lord's message. I am with you, declares the Lord. And the Lord stirred up the spirit of Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and the spirit of Joshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest, and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and worked on the house of the Lord of hosts, their God. Here's what is amazing about Haggai 1. Now, tomorrow, spoiler alert, you're going to be in Haggai 2. It is a really beautiful conclusion to what we are talking about today and to Haggai 1. Haggai, again, little background. There's been a remnant of the people that have gone from captivity out to Jerusalem. Now they're there. They had started out, as we read in the first part of the chapter. I hope you read it again today, that they took care of themselves first before they took care of the Lord's house. But then something incredible happens. God tells them in the middle of the chapter there in verses 7 and following, he says, listen, you took time and you built your own stuff, but then you realized the land was drying up, the crop was bad, everything. I've shut off the heavens. I've done this, and it was obviously powerful enough that everybody realized it, right? Everybody realized it. In verses 12, 13, and 14, what we saw was that the secular leader, right? You've got this guy named Zerubbabel, who is the secular leader of the time. That means he's the leader that's in charge. He's the elected guy, the governor. He's the one that's in charge. He gets it. He puts it together. He puts the idea together. God is not happy with us. He has done this, and so we need to honor him, right? The spiritual leader, Joshua, the guy, the high priest, he realizes it. So you've got the secular leader, you've got the spiritual leader, and then it says that with all the remnant of the people, everybody started to recognize God is the one that's done this. It is not his fault, it's not his fault, it's not his fault, it's not his fault. It is God that has done this to bring us back to him. I absolutely love their response. It says that these guys got together. They said, you know what, let's get together and let's realize what we've done and what's happened. This is God. It wasn't just the prophet's great, powerful words. It wasn't that Haggai was this overwhelming orator that stood up and convinced everybody. Haggai just said, here's what God just said to me. He said that you guys paid attention to yourselves. That's why the crop's failing. That's why we're having some problems. That's why we're never full, we're never satisfied. That's why we can drink and never get enough. That's why it's our fault. God's the one that's setting us. That's the response of these people. And then we see a reassurance. What happens in verse 13 is God says, I'm with you. Now, here's something that you may not catch in this scripture if you only stick to Haggai 1. If you just read this as a singular event and you never connect it to anything else in scripture, you miss something. Because what happens in Haggai 1 is also described in a place in Ezra. Ezra was a writing scribe. He writes about what happened with the remnants whenever they came back. And so whenever you realize that the Jews, whenever they began to rebuild the temple, there was opposition that came. All right? Now, we don't see that in these couple of verses, but we can go and look in a couple places in Ezra, specifically chapter 5 in Ezra, and what you'll find is that there was this opposition that arose, but God says here, I'm with you. I'm with you. No worries, I'm with you. If we've learned anything from our reading plan in Psalm 127, if God builds a house, we're good. If He's protecting the city, we're good. If He's providing for our families, we're good, right? If we lean into Him and allow Him to work, we're good. It's going to be okay. Here's what I've seen as this goes on. In Ezra, we see there was this opposition that happened, but it's okay. God says He's with us. What happens? It gets ruled in favor of the Jews. Of course it does. God's with them. He's there. He's there to take care of it. So there's this response from the people, the remnant and the secular leader, the spiritual leader. There's this response that says, God is the one doing this. We need to come together. As soon as they come together, God says, hey, don't worry, I'm with you. No matter how much resistance is going to show up, I am on your side. You're on my side. We are going to win. There's this massive thing that happens, a lot of things that go on in history in this moment, but I don't want to jump into all that today. I just want to say, if you listen and notice what the Lord is doing, then you agree with Him and say, I'm going to be a part of what He's doing. He says, I'm with you. Now you've come onto my side. We're going to get this done. Then it says in verse 14, the revival that takes place. It says they all came together and they came together and worked on the house of the Lord, the Lord of hosts, their God. That's what they did. Then verse 15, he gives the actual day. He said, this is the day in which it happened, when the revival took place. I'll tell you when the revival takes place. When we see what God's doing, we decide to join Him in His work, and then He says, now we're cooking together. Let's do this together. I hope and pray you're encouraged today by Haggai 1. I hope that you maybe spend whatever time you spend looking at the misunderstanding in the beginning of it, the misplaced priorities that the people had, but then moving to a place knowing and trusting that He's the one that's doing it. He's in control. He's working. We're going to respond to His work. We're not going to just respond to our work. We're going to respond to His work, to His actions. That's what happened in Haggai 1, right? He says, You're struggling because I've cut some supplies off. So we respond to His actions and His work. When we respond to His work, then He says, now that you've responded to me, let's go forward together. You were going away from me. I've drawn you in. Now we're going to go forward together and know if you're with me, we're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. So we're going to go and do this together. Then what happens? Revival takes place. We're working on what the Lord is doing together. We're going to be a part of the building of what God is doing. He wants to invite us in so that we can build with Him. We can build for His glory with Him alongside us. It is an incredible, powerful passage of Scripture today. I hope and pray you spend time meditating over Haggai 1 as we prepare this week to look into the next chapter. Don't read ahead too far. Focus in on Haggai 1 today. What is the Lord speaking to you about?